It's been a really rewarding and enlightening experience for me to read this book by Pastor Daniels, and it's entitled, "This Book is Not for You." And it has really brought to my attention a lot of the vital questions that I need to ask myself about my Christianity. The book is strictly about Christianity in the 21st century and what it has changed from the first century. The introduction to this book makes the statement that if you picked up this book expecting to find a comforting, non-compromising Christianity, then you need to put it back on the shelf. This book is not for you. It's not for you if you're looking for a faith that is convenient and a faith that fits into your busy lifestyle and your worldly ambitions. Chapter 1 is entitled "A Different Church," and it endeavors to answer vital questions for us 21st century Christians, such as why is the church today so much different from the church in the first century? Another question, what did the Christians in the first century have that we don't? Another question, how do we as modern Christians be both relevant in our present day and remain faithful to the gospel of Jesus Christ? Chapter 2 is called "The Watered Down Gospel." And in here, Pastor Daniels discusses what he means by that term. What is a watered down gospel? And if we'll look at it, if we've been paying attention, we have watched a lot of times with growing concern as our powerful, life-giving or changing message of Jesus has gradually been diluted in many of our churches today. And also it has been diluted in the lives and the witness of the Christians. This watered down gospel of the 21st century is exposed for what it really is. It really is a feel-good religion. In chapter 3, which Pastor Daniels calls "The Forgotten Experience," he discusses the challenges that we as 21st century Christians face. And we need to really understand where we really do fit into God's plan, because our faith in many cases has become more superficial than it was in the first century. The deep spiritual experiences that characterized the early Christians is just missing today. Or either that or we've just forgotten them. What does it really mean to know God? Why do our spiritual experiences today seem so superficial when we compare them to the first century Christians? And how can we recover that fire from the Holy Spirit? Chapter 4 emphasizes that the gospel of Jesus Christ was never really a call to lead a comfortable life. Following Jesus in the 21st century is not a simple choice for any of us. Today, the radical calling of the gospel continues to challenge the culture of the society that we live in. Less people are becoming Christians simply because they don't see the relevance. And in many cases, they say, hey, it's just not fun, it's not enjoyable. Throughout history, we see the church as it was in the first century and compare. Chapter 5 is talking about the restored church. And in this, Pastor Daniels emphasizes that in every generation, the church has gone through challenges. Throughout history, there have been times when the church has strayed from its original mission, or it's adopted itself to the culture of the day, or the church has lost its focus on what really matters. Yet Jesus has always raised up leaders and movements to restore the church to its original purpose. Now, after reading this book, I think each one of us should recognize and be able to answer questions that we gather from this book. For instance, How do we find Jesus of the first century here in the 21st century? Where do we find the faith of the first century for we people in the 21st century? Can we find true discipleship in the here and now as it was in the first century? Is authentic Christianity found in our churches today? And lastly, are we 21st century Christians ready and able to take up our cross and follow Jesus? These are the very, very, very important questions that each one of us need to answer in our daily walk with Jesus. Pastor Daniels has done a great job of bringing up the inefficiencies that we have today in our 21st century Christian faith, and has given us the questions that we need to answer to guide and direct our lives.